Have you ever eaten at a dirty buffet in China? If not, after watching this video, you might never look at buffets the same way again. A friend of mine who runs a barbecue buffet recently decided to sell all his restaurant equipment at a bargain price of just 59.9 yuan. Curious, I asked someone on the street why, since many places sell at that price and seem to be doing well, he couldn't keep going. He had invested heavily in renovating the restaurant. It was new and upscale, but he simply said,
"I just can't keep doing it. I'm losing money."
I asked again, "Others are making money, so why are you losing?" Then he took me into the kitchen and showed me something that shocked me. It was the first time I had ever seen this. He explained that the meat marinade contained preservatives that quickly made customers feel full no matter how hungry they were. "Isn't that cheating customers?" I asked. He shrugged and said,
"Everyone does it. That's why they succeed, but I don't."
Then he led me to the sauce-making area. The dipping sauce was made from compressed crackers ground into powder, mixed with spices. When you eat this cracker-based sauce, it expands in your stomach, making you feel full. This blew my mind and made me realize how many times I had eaten at buffets and felt full after barely eating much. Could it be that if an apocalypse came, just having a bag of this would be enough to survive? Food safety is really worrying. He added that in seafood buffets, even if the seafood smells bad, they still serve it after washing multiple times or adding anti-diarrhea medicine to the dipping sauce or meat marinade to prevent customers from getting sick. I thought to myself, from now on, I will never eat at barbecue buffets again. It's truly scary. I also advise avoiding taking children to buffet restaurants because it is very harmful to their health. What do you think? This is exactly what many people call appetite suppressants. Why does your stomach feel hungry, yet at a barbecue buffet you feel full after just a few bites? Even if you want to eat more, you just can't. That's because some buffets mix appetite suppressants into powders and use them in meat marinades like seasoning. However, this isn't a toxic chemical, it's a protein capsule rich in vitamins. Eating one makes you feel full as if you had a full meal. Still, it clearly states that infants, pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers, children under 14, and people allergic to the ingredients should not consume it. Buffet owners who use this are truly irresponsible. If their customers include pregnant women or children, wouldn't it seriously harm their health? If you don't want customers to eat much, it's better not to open a buffet at all. Next, let's take a piece of meat marinated with this and fry it, then see if there's anything else surprising. Regarding the sesame sauce at buffets, pure sesame sauce is expensive, so some restaurants make their own by heating oil, adding flour and starch, stirring until thick, then adding sesame flavoring. The aroma spreads immediately. Then they add cheap peanut butter and a little real sesame sauce, mixing it all together. The result is a sesame sauce with flavor, but if you look closely, you can tell if it's real sesame sauce or just flavoring. Some even buy pre-made commercial sesame sauce in large, cheap containers. The behavior of these businesses is hard to accept. Who would have thought that enjoying a buffet secretly means being tricked with additives? This is terrifying. One viewer commented that many self-service restaurants only let you eat for about 2 hours because they say you can't keep eating at such a low price. In fact, it's because the appetite suppressant only lasts about 2 hours, after which you get hungry again and want to eat more. Another viewer recalled eating at a small, delicious restaurant during work, where after one bowl she felt tired and didn't want more, although at home she usually eats 3 bowls. It turned out they added something to the food. Many buffet restaurants now limit you to 2 hours, saying you can't expect to eat forever at that price, but the truth is the appetite suppressant only lasts about 2 hours, and then your hunger returns. There's much more to buffets than you think, and it can't be explained in just a few sentences. Speaking of buffets, let's look at the recent rise in popularity of braised pork amid downgraded consumer spending. Traditional Shandong-style braised pork is famous for its convenience and affordability. Recently, it has become very popular, but where do these super cheap braised pork slices come from? Think about it. What would a 1.6 yuan slice of braised pork look like? Here is a package weighing about 20 pounds containing around 100 perfect slices, perfect for canteens, noodle shops, and cheap restaurants specializing in braised pork. This is easy to understand from a cost-efficiency perspective. Original cuts cost 3.2 yuan per slice, but this version only costs 1.6 yuan per slice. Some people comment that this type of braised pork is either fake synthetic pork sliced after compression or from unknown source dead pigs. In any case, if it's sold below production cost, something is definitely wrong. The booming food delivery industry in China is also riddled with scandals. A former delivery driver posted a video exposing the hidden truths behind the industry. He claimed that the highest-rated restaurants on delivery platforms actually use toxic, pre-made meals that even stray dogs won't eat. When we think of ordering food delivery, we often imagine it coming from a restaurant in the city center. The delivery person picks it up from there and brings it to you. But in major cities, this isn't always the case. There are areas filled only with kitchens, no storefronts, no signs. Hundreds of kitchens operate together, and all delivery orders come from them. Drivers pick up food from these central kitchen hubs. He went on to reveal even more shocking secrets about the industry. First, the top-ranked restaurants on delivery platforms are actually owned by the platforms themselves. They manipulate data and delete negative reviews. A restaurant might only be open for 3 days, yet the platform claims it has sold 100,000 meals. Even worse, these restaurants serve pre-made meals that were prepared 3 to 5 years ago. They are packed in plastic and stored in freezers. When someone places an order, the meal is simply thawed with hot water and paired with freshly cooked rice. The delivery driver continued, "How bad is the problem with pre-made food? There are many stray dogs around these central kitchens. People often feed leftovers to dogs, but if you place pre-made food on the ground, the dogs won't eat it. It's toxic. This horrifies people. We already knew that pre-made meals were common, but no one expected them to be so toxic that even stray dogs wouldn't dare touch them." Quail eggs are a common ingredient in street snacks, but even these tiny eggs hide shocking secrets. A reporter investigated a quail egg processing plant, and what the factory owner revealed was astonishing. The truth is that China has reached a point where everyone is trying to harm each other. Quail egg vendors don't eat their own products because the eggs are soaked in formaldehyde. Farmers also spray extremely toxic organophosphate pesticides on sweet potatoes, but they don't use these chemicals on the ones they eat themselves. In an interview with the owner of an organic sweet potato farm, the reporter asked, "What's the worst part about growing sweet potatoes? Is it the use of organophosphate pesticides?" "Yes." "What is the harm of organophosphate?" "It is extremely dangerous. Overuse can be fatal. Even small amounts can damage blood vessels in the brain." "How do they use it?" "They don't just spray it on the surface. Look, every sweet potato farm has a system of underground pipes. They mix the pesticide with irrigation water, and it gets absorbed directly into the sweet potatoes. It doesn't pass through the soil first. It's terrifying. But don't sweet potato farmers also eat sweet potatoes? The ones they eat aren't sprayed. They have a separate area for growing sweet potatoes for their families. Aren't those sweet potatoes eaten by pests? Yes, but so what? Some people ask why we eat ugly, damaged sweet potatoes. That's because the good-looking ones have all been sprayed with chemicals.
Urine tests of 1,000 children in Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Shanghai revealed the presence of veterinary antibiotics. In Yunnan, there were reports of foul-smelling meat. For the sake of profit, there's nothing capital won't dare to do. Only things you can't imagine, not things they wouldn't attempt. Just look at the children in China's so-called 3 major eastern provinces. Every day they eat chickens raised in just 3 months, ducks in 4. All kinds of vegetables and melons are soaked in formaldehyde. What flows in their veins is no longer fresh blood, it's preservatives. What we need is not just test results, but real accountability. See this? Know what it is. This is the soy milk we usually drink for breakfast. You think it's made by grinding real soybeans? Not at all. Watch closely, just add a bit of chemical powder, and the liquid changes color instantly. See? Transforms right away. Then throw in some white sugar and a few slices of dry jujube for flavor, and that's it, sweet in seconds. Drink up. This kind of soy milk? Even 3 big pots sell out fast. 1 yuan per cup, cheap and tasty, right?
In the heart of China's bustling cities and quiet villages, a silent poison creeps into every meal, every sip, every bite. The nation, once revered for its culinary heritage, has become a breeding ground for fake food. a grim reality where profit trumps human lives. From breakfast to dinner, the average Chinese citizen navigates a minefield of contaminated products. Bread laced with preservatives, yogurt concocted from chemicals, noodles doused in industrial oil, and tea tainted with sulfur fumes. The crisis has reached a horrifying peak, with reports of thousands of children in Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Shanghai testing positive for veterinary antibiotics in their urine. This is not just a health scandal, it is a moral catastrophe, a betrayal of trust that threatens to unravel the fabric of Chinese society. As the nation grapples with this self-inflicted wound, the question looms: how did we let it come to this, and what will it take to stop it? The day begins with a seemingly innocent breakfast. A slice of bread, a cup of yogurt, perhaps a steamed bun from a street vendor. But beneath the surface lies a sinister truth. "I don't like drinking it," a woman confides in a market, her voice tinged with suspicion. "The taste is different, unnatural. Chinese milk doesn't have that pure flavor. There's always something else mixed in." She's not wrong. Milk, vegetables, meat, all are suspect, often laced with pesticides, hormones, or worse. "It's serious," she continues. "The vegetables, the meat, they're not natural. They've got all sorts of chemicals, so the meat might be harmful. I'm not really reassured." Her words echo a growing unease among consumers, a realization that even the staples of life are no longer safe. For children, the consequences are even more dire. In a chilling exchange, a 9-year-old boy is asked, "Do you drink Chinese milk?" His response is immediate: "No." When pressed, "What happens if you drink it?" he replies matter-of-factly, "My stomach hurts." This child's instinct to avoid milk is not mere pickiness, it is a survival mechanism in a country where food can be a poison. The statistics are staggering. Over 120,000 children and young adults diagnosed with tumors in just 3 years, alongside a surge in rare diseases. Chronic illnesses shadow the population, from frequent colds to debilitating conditions, all linked to the toxic cocktail infiltrating the food supply. The deception extends beyond the home kitchen to restaurants and street stalls, where pre-packaged, chemical-laden dishes masquerade as gourmet cuisine. A man in a viral video points to his groceries: meat, vegetables, buns, wine, dumplings, and marvels at a curious sight. "Friends, isn't this strange?" he says. "Look at this scene. This guy bought all these things, but notice the flies only land on the buns and dumplings, not the vegetables. What's going on here?" The answer is as unsettling as it is simple. The buns and dumplings are likely pre-made, stuffed with preservatives or worse, making them a magnet for pests while the vegetables remain untouched. Such pre-packaged horrors are commonplace, with dishes like fragrant rice meat costing a mere 18 yuan to produce but sold for 88 yuan in restaurants, a markup that fuels the cycle of fraud. The fast food industry is no less culpable. A delivery worker, his voice heavy with guilt, warns, "These 3 types of takeout, you should order them sparingly. The hex check in them is beyond your imagination. I've been delivering for 2 years, and some things, even if given to me for free, I wouldn't eat. Sometimes I see what customers order and my conscience can't take it. I have to warn them, especially about the 3rd one. Eat it less." He lists the culprits: fried chicken, small portion dishes like braised meat rice, and barbecue. The chicken, often from questionable sources, is marinated in a slew of chemicals, composite phosphates, tenderizing powders, and flavor enhancers, to mask its inferiority. The oil used to fry it? Black and foamy, he reveals, changed only every 7 or 8 days, and only if sales hit 8,000 yuan. Barbecue, meanwhile, is pre-fried in rancid oil before a quick char on the grill, a cheap trick to cut costs while endangering health. Even desserts are not spared. A baker demonstrates the alarming truth about colored cakes. "Don't eat cakes with these colors," he urges, holding up a vial of black food coloring. Just 1 drop turns clear water into black ink. Now imagine how much is used in frosting. He adds 10 drops, then 20, then half a bottle, yet the frosting remains a dull gray. To get that deep black, you need this much dye. Think about how much coloring you're eating in those dark cakes. The revelation is a stark reminder that even the most indulgent treats are vehicles for chemical overload. The fire pot restaurants, a cornerstone of Chinese dining, harbor their own dark secrets. A man recounts a haunting conversation from 5 years ago with a truck driver who delivered ingredients to such establishments. We were chatting, he recalls, and he told me how they make things like tripe and duck intestines for fire pot. I swear it was so disgusting I still want to puke. The driver described a process akin to black magic, where ingredients are soaked in a chemical brew for weeks to achieve the desired texture. It's like the old witch's cauldron, the man says. Boiling for years, then you dunk the stuff in for 49 days and voila, black magic perfection. When he asked if this was limited to cheap eateries, the driver's response was chilling. I asked, "Do you only supply these small cheap fire pot places?" He gave a dark laugh and said, "Everything's got it, everything." This pervasive fraud is not just a culinary betrayal, it is a public health disaster. The overuse of antibiotics, pesticides, and additives has turned China into a counterfeit nation, where even the wealthy flee abroad to escape the toxic food supply. Hospitals overflow with patients, their bodies ravaged by the cumulative effects of these poisons. The government's response? New regulations and crackdowns. Feels like a hollow gesture in the face of rampant corruption and greed. "I just want real solutions," a frustrated citizen laments, "not more test results. Will there be criminal penalties for those misusing antibiotics and additives, or are we just waiting to poison ourselves to death?" The crisis exposes a deeper moral failing. Businesses hide behind national standards, a bare minimum akin to a student scraping by with a passing grade. Yet, as one commentator pleads, if everyone only aims for a 60, what's the point of earning billions while harming the public? Don't think, "I don't eat this myself." Your family eats what others produce too. This vicious cycle will spare no one. The call is clear. Chinese people must stop harming their own. The nation stands at a crossroads where the pursuit of profit must yield to the preservation of life. Without drastic change, stricter laws, transparent supply chains, and a cultural shift toward integrity, China risks collapsing under the weight of its own greed. A nation undone not by war, but by the food on its plates. China's fake food scandal, a poisoned society. A nation betrayed by greed. Chinese food industry has descended into a cesspool of deception, where the pursuit of profit has turned the act of eating into a gamble with death. The rampant production of fake and contaminated food is not just a public health crisis, it is a moral and societal abomination. From toxic additives to outright fraudulent products, the Chinese food market has become a battlefield where consumers are the casualties. This is not mere negligence. It is a deliberate assault on the well-being of millions, enabled by a corrupt system that prioritizes wealth over human lives. The fake food scandal exposes the rot at the heart of China's food industry and the devastating consequences for its people. The roots of a toxic crisis. The proliferation of fake food in China is no accident. It is the inevitable result of a system that rewards greed and punishes integrity. Several factors have conspired to create this nightmare, each more infuriating than the last. Greed over humanity. At the core of this crisis is an insatiable greed that permeates the food industry. Producers, driven by the desire to maximize profits, replace high-quality ingredients with cheap, dangerous substitutes. Premium meats, organic produce, and natural products are swapped for spoiled scraps, industrial chemicals, and synthetic fillers, all to shave pennies off production cost. This is not a mistake. It is a calculated choice to sacrifice consumer health for financial gain. The competitive market only fuels this depravity, as vendors undercut each other with ever cheaper, ever deadlier products, turning the food supply into a race to the bottom. A regulatory farce. China's so-called food safety regulations are a cruel joke, offering little more than empty promises and hollow assurances. The government's oversight is a sham, crippled by underfunding, understaffing, and rampant corruption. Regulatory agencies tasked with protecting the public are either complicit or incompetent, allowing fake food to flood the market with impunity. Penalties for violations are laughably lenient, barely a slap on the wrist for those poisoning the population. The absence of rigorous testing and inspections leaves consumers defenseless, abandoned by the very authorities meant to safeguard them. This is not regulation, it is abandonment. A veil of deception. Transparency in China's food supply chain is non-existent, replaced by a deliberate veil of deception. Consumers are kept in the dark about the origins, processing, and ingredients of their food, forced to rely on misleading labels and false promises. Producers exploit this opacity, misrepresenting their products with brazen audacity. The lack of information is not an oversight, it is a weapon used to manipulate and mislead, ensuring that consumers remain ignorant of the dangers they ingest. This betrayal of trust is a cornerstone of the fake food crisis, leaving the public powerless to protect themselves. Cultural complicity. Cultural factors, too, have played a shameful role in this crisis. The obsession with affordability and accessibility has created a market for cheap, substandard goods, particularly among the poor. Rapid urbanization and industrialization have outstripped the development of safety standards, allowing producers to cut corners without consequence.